The National Defense Station was located in the heart of the Arizona desert, a sprawling complex nestled among the barren, sun-scorched landscape. Its purpose was simple yet profound, protecting the most vital military operations in the United States. Inside its razor-wire fences and guarded gates, the U.S. Army conducted secretive research, weapons testing, and national security operations far beyond what most people would ever imagine. Most of the time, it was a quiet, self-contained world. But that night, the sound of roaring engines would shatter the calm. Sergeant Jack Hale had been stationed at the National Defense Station for 4 years. He wasn't a hero, but he had earned the respect of every soldier who had worked with him. A man of few words, he was known for his unshakable demeanor and tactical brilliance. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a protector of the country's most sensitive secrets. His past was filled with missions in Iraq, Afghanistan, and covert operations that made the stories told by his peers sound like something out of a movie. Though his life was steeped in danger, Jack had one thing that kept him grounded: his sense of duty. He didn't want recognition, didn't crave accolades. He was just doing his job, which, as he'd learned over the years, was often about being ready for anything. And tonight, something was about to happen that would put that readiness to the test. The sun had long set, leaving a dark, cold air in its wake. The moon cast a pale light over the compound, and the only sounds were the whispers of the wind and the distant hum of the base's generators. Most of the soldiers were finishing up their shifts, preparing for a quiet night. However, in the distance, something was amiss. The deep roar of motorcycles echoed across the desert, slowly growing louder. Jack was inside the station's command center when he first heard the sound. At first, he thought it was just a few bikers cruising through the desert, enjoying the night. But the sound grew closer, and that's when his military instincts kicked in. The engines were too loud, too aggressive to be casual riders. And there was more than one. "Command, we have multiple vehicles approaching from the west." "Unknown vehicles," Jack said into his radio, his tone even, though his mind was already on alert. "Roger that, Sergeant. Keep an eye on it." "We're checking satellite feed," came the response. Jack's eyes narrowed as he monitored the approaching bikers through the security cameras. There were at least 10 of them, all riding under the cover of darkness, their engines revving in unison, as if they were preparing for something far bigger than a simple joyride. As the riders neared the entrance to the base, Jack's suspicion turned to certainty. These weren't just any bikers. They were organized, well-equipped, and intent on something more than a casual visit. This was no accident. Viper, the leader of the Black Riders, was a man of infamous reputation. His gang had made a name for themselves throughout the Southwest U.S. by wreaking havoc wherever they went: armed robberies, street brawls, and smuggling operations. They didn't care for laws or borders. For them, power was the only thing that mattered. The Black Riders had heard whispers, really, about the National Defense Station, a heavily secured facility in the middle of the desert that held some of the U.S. government's most valuable secrets. What they didn't know, however, was that the base's security was more than just armed guards and fences. The place was a fortress, and anyone who tried to break in would find themselves facing much more than they bargained for. But Viper wasn't the kind of man who backed down. He wasn't interested in rumors. He was interested in what he could take, what he could control. And tonight, his gang had made a plan to hit the base, steal whatever they could, and escape before anyone even noticed. "We do this quick and dirty," Viper growled, rallying his gang as they approached the entrance to the station. "Get in, get the tech, and get out. No one's stopping us." The bikers revved their engines and charged toward the front gate, but as they neared, a warning alarm blared from the base's speakers, sending a pulse of red light through the night. Warning, unauthorized vehicles approaching. All personnel report to alert stations. Prepare for security breach. Viper didn't flinch. He gave the signal, and his gang surged forward, crashing through the gates and speeding into the base. Their headlights lit up the compound as they scattered, some veering toward the building housing classified equipment, others making their way toward the barracks and the command center. Inside the command center, Jack's hands were already in motion. The base had automated defense systems, and Jack knew how to use them. The lockdown. Procedure: locking down every gate, every entrance, every possible escape route. The bikers were trapped. He grabbed his rifle, checked the chamber, and set off toward the main entrance. His mind raced, but his body moved with the calm efficiency of someone who had faced far worse odds in his life. He wasn't just defending a base, he was protecting the country. The Black Riders weren't going to get away with this. Viper and his gang were already inside the compound when they realized something wasn't right. The ground was shaking beneath their feet, and the distant whir of military drones filled the air. The place was locked down. No exits. No way out. "Damn it, they've locked us in," one of the bikers yelled. Viper clenched his fists. "Stick to the plan. We find the tech and take it." But as the gang moved deeper into the compound, they quickly encountered unexpected resistance. Armed soldiers, moving with precision, appeared from all sides, cutting off their escape routes and forcing them toward the central courtyard. Viper cursed under his breath. He hadn't counted on a coordinated defense like this. "Hold your ground," he shouted, signaling his men to take cover. Jack moved through the dark hallways with surgical precision. His training had made him a ghost in the night, silent and deadly. He rounded a corner and came face to face with one of the bikers. Without hesitation, Jack slammed the butt of his rifle into the biker's gut, knocking him to the ground. "Move, and I'll break your neck," Jack muttered, his voice low and cold. The biker gasped for air but didn't resist. Jack quickly moved past him, continuing his sweep of the compound. He could hear the sounds of combat in the distance: gunfire, shouting, and the roar of motorcycles. It was chaos, but Jack knew better than to lose his cool. There was a job to do. Outside, Viper was beginning to realize just how badly he had miscalculated. His gang was being systematically picked off, one by one. They weren't dealing with some small-town cops. They were up against highly trained soldiers who had been preparing for moments like this for years. "Retreat," Viper shouted, his voice full of fury. "Fall back to the bikes. Get out of here." But as they turned